to the show, Columbus. You know, there have been some really disturbing things in the news lately, but today we are not going to concentrate on those things, and instead we're going to discuss some positive steps that we can take as individuals, as families, as a community to make our world a better place. I'd like to welcome Rob Todd to the show. He owns Elements Hair Salon in Opelika, Alabama. Rob has lived all over the United States. He is a husband, a father, a businessman, and a musician. And today is Rob's 49th birthday. Happy birthday, Rob.
Thank you.
I'd also like to welcome Cody Benefield. Cody's about to receive his associate's degree from Southern Union State Community College, and after that he'll attend the School of Engineering at Auburn University.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Especially the Auburn part.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
War Eagles.
It's going to be way harder
Yeah,
there
you see
than
that right
Southern
behind
Union.
you there, so.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Cody will be 23 in June, and he's been bodybuilding since he was 17 years old. He's an aspiring singer, likes Judas Priest, and he's single. Hi, Code. And I'm Alicia, and I'm 69 years old. I'm giving you our ages to bring attention to the fact that we have 3 generations represented here, yet we're going to share and compare our thoughts and ideas in an effort to find some ways that we can help build a better community, a better state, and a better country. First, though, let me ask Rob to share just a little bit about himself so you'll know kind of where Rob's coming from and where he's going.
All right. My name's Rob Todd. I'm 49 as of today. My father was a federal agent with the government, used to guard the President of the United States for a job. I've lived all over the country. I've been brought up not being subject to one type of person or people. I've gotten used to everybody and everything. And it's always been, my eyes have always been very open and very broadened by what I've done, by what they've done, how they've taught me to live, how they've told me to be tolerant of everybody, just not who you are. Unfortunately, I think there needs to be more tolerance in the world. But the thing is that tolerance has to be on all sides. It just can't be partied to one side where, oh, as a white Christian man, I should be tolerant to Muslims and everybody else. The thing is they need to share that respect and have their tolerance and be okay with what I do as well as we be okay with what they do. So,
Thanks. Cody, tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, where you went to school, your hobbies, goals, so forth.
Okay, so I went to school at a very unknown place called Eastwood Christian School, and it's buried in the woods. It'd be a miracle if anyone even knew it existed. But anyway, the point is, up until the point I was about 19, my view was about this big. And after I was turned 20, thanks to the internet, that viewing space sort of blew up. And I became familiar with and introduced to all kinds of topics across the world. I've gotten interested in philosophy. I've debated a lot of my friends on Facebook. I've lost quite a few of them, but I don't really care because they're wrong.
You're not opinionated, are you?
I'm
little
very
bit.
disagreeable. I love to debate. I like truth. I love objectivity. And that's the reason she wanted me here today. And my goal is to become financially successful enough to where I have the freedom to devote the remainder of my time to my hobbies.
Great. Okay, thank you both. And now to the business at hand. And you'll see me reading a lot from this paper because we have a lot to cover, and at my age, I try not to commit too much to memory because if I were to do that, I would just be committed, and that would be the end of it. So here we go. As Americans, not members of any political
Political party.
already. Yeah, thank you. As Americans and not members of any particular political party, as Rob said, or race or religion or anything else, but just as Americans, let's briefly touch on a few topics, just enough to start thinking outside the box. Number one, by the way, we will limit our comments as they are intended only as food for thought. We could be here for the next 4 years if we did otherwise. First of all, our children are our future. What do each of you think is missing in the lives of our children today that might help them become more productive citizens? And I'm going to start with Rob since you're a little bit older as of today.
you know, the thing is, I look at my childhood and I remember growing up in schools where, first thing of all, you had the Pledge of Allegiance. You showed your patriotism. We had school prayer. We had parents at home who, when I got in trouble, I got a whipping. There wasn't this, well, we're going to put you in timeout, or, we don't want to hurt no. I got my butt beat. And I turned out to be a responsible adult because I knew the fact that if I did something wrong, I was going to get punished for it. And unfortunately, I don't think any of the kids today know these consequences and realize that when you do something stupid, especially like right now, it's very popular, especially in the schools. These kids are going, I can't wait to go shoot up this school. Well, the problem is even though you're saying it jokingly, or even if you're planning to do it, these kids have no consequences. Since the school shooting, I know in our area and over in Opelika, we've had 2 or 3 kids actually say jokingly they were going to shoot up the school. They've all gotten in trouble. Now they're going to court. They've been put on a terrorist watch list.
Good.
Is that harsh?
No.
No, I don't think it really is. I think these kids need to be realized that fact is when you do something stupid, you're going to have a consequence, and you need to pay a price. And that's where I'm at on that.
Precisely. Cody, what are your feelings?
Yeah, I agree with the first part of what he said. Because young people, kids, they're basically new humans. They're fresh in this world. They don't know any better. They don't have any knowledge or experience, so they have to be guided. They need to be shown the right way. They need to be taught how to think. And it seems like today, the school systems and the culture and whatnot, they're just allowing these kids to think the way they want and do what they want, and they think that's okay. And the kids, they don't know what they're doing, and so they just grow out of control.
Do you feel like
So-
everybody is afraid of hurting anybody's feelings or stepping on anybody's toes?
Mm-hmm.
See, I got to the point to where I have to be true to myself. I say Merry Christmas. I say Happy New Year's. I'm not going to say Happy Holidays because it's Christmas, and it's the season for Christ. I think once they took God out of the home and out of the classrooms and out of the scenario, and it made it taboo, I think that's when everything started going, pardon me, to hell.
Well, my opinion on that, and when we're expressing opinions here, people, we're not telling you what you should
No.
think. We're just expressing our opinions and trying to come together as 3 generations with some ideas, just some food for thought for you. So my opinion is, and I am a Christian, I believe the Bible, whether you're a Christian or an atheist or an agnostic, is still a good rule book and a good guide for living. And when you remove morality and decency and rules, then you have no deterrent for crime, and you just have a rampant society. Now, that's just a personal thought, and I think there should be consequences, and I think morality should play a big part in our culture because it's a good thing.
Yes, it is. I mean, we need more. And I'm not saying you've got to go to church every Sunday. That's not what I'm saying. God's not in church. God's in your heart. God's what is in your family belief system. If you've got good in your heart, you'll have good come through, and that's just where we need to be at.
And that good can be, and we won't discuss the religious aspect of it, but good is good whether it comes from the Bible or comes from just decent upbringing or just comes from a personal opinion. If you are good, that's not to say that you're not going to have bad things happen to you, but you reap what you sow regardless.
Exactly. Me, myself, I would love to see, and when I say this, I would love to see prayer put back into school. And the thing is, not just have it to where you've got your Christians praying, you've got your Muslims, you've got your Buddhists, you've got everybody praying to who they want during their prayer time, and not making a person feel bad because they're offended. And nobody should get offended praying to your own God. I mean, I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. And I think too many people have taken it so to the extreme of, oh, well, you're going to offend this person if you do this or this person. We've been here in America. We've been doing this all our lives. What's different now that the fact that these people have come out and said, oh, don't offend those people? Mm-hmm. They've come to our country from other places, and they need to realize this is our lifestyle. We shouldn't have to change to accommodate their lifestyle.
And we can both be respectful of one another's
Of course.
beliefs. It doesn't have to be a wall there. You can, whether you are a Christian, you are a Buddhist, or you are a total atheist and don't have any belief system, I can still respect your right to believe what you will. and treat you as a human being. That is a small part of who you are.
If we could get rid of the Democrats, the Republicans, if we could get rid of the labels and just be better humans, the world would be a better place.
I
Do you
agree.
think Christianity in particular has been singled out,
It has.
targeted? It's the only religion that you're allowed to discriminate against, so to speak.
Yeah.
But everyone else is safe
That's a
Well,
really good
it's-
point.
from criticism.
You know, and the thing is I've been raised multicultural with my friends have been black, white, Hispanic. I mean, Asian, everything. The thing is, and I've seen this, and it disgusts me the fact that one of my friends, he says, "Hey, you know, I'm proud to be black." I'm like, "That's great," but if I say I'm proud to be white, I'm a racist, and I think that's wrong.
We should all be proud to be the human beings
We
we
are.
are, regardless of our race, our religion, our culture, our
Exactly.
socioeconomic status, where we live, what we drive. I'm proud to be me.
Yeah.
Just me.
So it's
Okay.
more tolerance from all sides.
There you go. Okay. Let's move
Well,
on.
you know,
I'm sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
I myself am pretty much adamant Christian. If you want to know how I believe, go open your Bible. That's it. I mean, that's
Boom.
just me.
Good for
that's
you,
just
Tim.
me. But you know, I was working years back and had someone tell me, and he said, you know, you can say anything to anyone. It's just how you say it.
Exactly.
I agree.
So I think a lot of times what's going on, people are too sensitive. But on the other flip side, you have people that the art of conversation and the art of debating and looking at the other person's side is no longer, how should I say, it's not prevalent as it was.
Right.
People are too thin-skinned.
Well, also something to that, the social skills that people have these days are not what it was 20 years ago. The problem is everybody's on a phone texting where you can't see emotion, where you can't see sarcasm, where you can't see anything. Everybody's behind a computer screen now. I think we need to be more one-on-one with people to really understand the fact that, hey, this is how things are going.
I'm sort of guilty of that. I speak fluent internet. Yes, I grew
That
up in
happens.
it. I swim in the internet like it's a pool. But you know, I try to get toward the human aspect too. I'm getting better at that. So, but yeah, that's a big problem.
Well,
today.
there's nothing wrong with technology as long as it's
Oh, yeah.
used responsibly.
Yes.
And in conjunction with.
Well, that's true. I mean, you know, I look at it these days, a lot of problems we have are due to, how should I say, the press, the media.
Yeah.
We're going to touch on that too.
Okay. And, you know, and I'll be the first one to say it, and I don't mean to offend you, Cody, because I know you're this age,
it's
but,
fine.
you know, before the internet came along, you had people that wrote and reported, and they had integrity, and they had responsibility. The internet came along, and suddenly you lost an entire generation of integrity and responsibility, and suddenly it's replaced with 20-year-olds that sit there and go, I know what's going on. I'm going to start a blog. And suddenly the internet became news.
Well, just to add to that, you said something about integrity. I think the big reason a lot of these people who you're talking about, they don't have integrity is because they can hide behind anonymity.
Yes.
I agree.
They don't have to
I
put
agree.
their real face, their real name behind it.
Very good
So
point.
They just,
Very
they
good
just
point.
go crazy, do what they want.
And
Excellent.
people have a tendency to say, oh, my goodness, it was on the internet. It must be so.
Yeah.
A good example of that is yesterday evening there was an incident at the mall in Auburn, and in no time at all it had almost 3,000 viewers. It was a live stream. Elizabeth White, who does a great job, by the way, I love Elizabeth. But what happened, and she couldn't see it, of course, people were commenting. And before you know it, 7 people were injured, 1 was dead. There was a guy who ran back in the mall with a gun, which was totally not factual. But people were believing that because that's what they saw. And they go with it. So, you know, we have to be very careful when we put things out there for people to see. And that's why I say today that we're only expressing our opinions. We're not telling you how to believe. This is how we feel. My point today is let's do something constructive. Let's get this generation, and this one. We are 3 generations here, and we're different culturally in some degree, in some way. and let's just call it what it is. We got a musician here with long hair and tattoos.
Yep.
And he's a bold person. He speaks very boldly on his own live streams.
sorry.
We've got a young man here who is very intellectual. Half the time when he speaks, I have no idea what he's saying because the words are that long. But he dives and he analyzes and he studies and he's trying to learn more. And then you've got this old person over here, and I'm just old school from out in the country, and you know, but we are getting our heads together, and we realize that there's a common ground, and we all want the world to be a better place. So what we're trying to do today is make you realize that we want to present the facts as we see them, but not tell you you have to believe them. Just make you think.
Yeah.
Make you think, and let's all come forward and move together. Okay, can I touch on the next subject now?
Yeah,
Because this
let's
is
do it.
an important one. My great-grandchildren go to a small school out in the country. I'll tell you what school it is. It's Waukuchi Elementary School. That school security for years has been very good. In fact, when you go there, you have to get buzzed in the front door. That's as far as you can go. Then there's another locked door. And you go to the office, you present your identification, and if you are not on the list in that school to pick up a child or to go to that class, well, that's as far as you're going to go. The security is enormous, and I think it's great. Now, the question there is, what is your thought on our school security in general today?
I did the first one. You go for the second one, Cody.
Well, I don't know much about Waukuchi, but well,
In general, it
I
doesn't have
think
to be
I would
Waukuchi.
really, I need to think about this one for a minute.
Okay, I got this. School security, it's very simple. Now, when I was in school, and this is talking 86 and 87. Yes, I'm old. It's okay. The schools I went to in Los Angeles, back then, we had metal detectors
Really?
in school.
Even then?
Even then. We walked in, you went through the metal detector. If you beeped, you got buzzed, they would search you. And this was in school. I was in high school. If you were caught with something, they'd take it away from you and you would get in trouble for it.
And when I was in school, there was zero security, and we didn't need it.
Now, we also had armed guards. And back in school, it was mainly reservists and off-duty police officers that guarded the schools. And you'd have about 5 or 6 of them running around the school, armed, ready to go.
But would you say that was because in that area at that time it was needed?
It was a little bit rougher area, but the thing is we had 3,500 at a high school.
Wow.
It was a Los Angeles-based high school, so it was a little rougher. But the thing is we all knew what we could do and what we couldn't do. And if in years and years and years, I never saw anybody everybody got in fights. Fighting was a rite of passage when I was in high school. Nobody pulled guns. Now, knives, yeah, everybody pulled knives, but those guys were looked upon as weaklings, and they were made fun of. Because if you're going to fight, you fight as a man, and that's the way it was. But I
Do you think
personally,
schools today, generally speaking, from what we hear on the media, do we need more security, generally speaking, in schools today?
yes, we do. And I think, and this is what I've said for years, I think personally, the vets who have come back home who can't find jobs in standard society, they're armed. They've had the training. The schools have the budget for them. 2 or 3 armed guards during the day that are retired vets. It's a win-win situation because now you have vets who are fulfilling a purpose again. Because so many vets who've had this purpose of I'm protecting our country. Once they come back and they're out, they're like, I don't want to work at Target. I don't want to do this. They joined the military because they wanted that fulfillment of being able to protect and do something good. This is their opportunity. If we can get those vets
That's a good solution.
back into the schools and protect our
obviously
children.
They're not afraid.
Exactly.
They've
I think it would be a great
idea.
idea, and so do a lot of people. And I think it's just one option we can explore. And if we can get
Great
people out
idea.
there listening to us, it will make an impact.
Cody?
Well, as far as security goes, I think if the teachers were just allowed to carry guns, that would probably go a long way just in itself. And where I went to school was completely different from yours.
Yeah.
I mean, at our heights, we had like 100 students, and it was always very safe because everybody knew each other. It was an incredibly small community, and the principal actually allowed the boys to carry pocket knives around because he would always recruit us to do jobs around the place, and we would need tools and stuff to do that. But yeah, I think teachers should be allowed to
Now, the
carry
only-
some form of weapon.
Now, the only thing, and I know a lot of teachers. I'm a hairstylist by trade. I've been doing hair for 30 years. I've got a lot of customers who are hairstylists or who are teachers. 60 to 70% of the teachers I know don't want that responsibility.
I can understand that.
And I understand that. But I think the teachers that want that responsibility should have that option.
How could we fill the gap for the ones that don't want to?
Well, if you've got, say you've got 50 teachers at a school, say only 5 of them want to carry guns, that's fine. But then you've got the extra security filling in that gap. Because the thing is these kids who are doing the school shootings, and I hope we get on that subject of it because I really want to emphasize that most of these kids who are doing the school shootings are guys who've been bullied, outcast, and made fun of. And the thing is that's something that needs to be addressed before anything else. So,
We are going to touch on that in just a little
Yeah.
bit, so remind me.
yes.
Okay, we've got to move along because we've got a lot to cover. The Constitution says, and I researched before these shows, by the way, the Constitution says, the right of the people to keep, okay,
That was my fault. Go ahead.
That was an interlude part.
that was an exclamation point, here we go. The Constitution says, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And Ronald Reagan said, those who seek to inflict harm are not fazed by gun control laws.
No.
Briefly, do you think that taking guns off the shelves will help or hinder the average citizen?
It's going to hinder the average citizen. Plain and simple. When Dianne Feinstein said, if you take guns off the shelves, there are going to be no more of these. Complete false. I don't know. I think her head's up her butt on this one. I'm sorry to say it like that. The problem is okay, let's look at it. Is meth on the shelves? Nope, but people get their hands on that all the time. Criminals do not pay attention to gun laws. When you start doing more gun laws, you take away from the individual themselves. And I think that's just a bad issue that you can't start taking the guns away from the human being because those criminals still going to do it still no matter what. Even if you take away the guns, a guy who wants to kill you can pull out a knife.
Or a ballpoint pen?
Ballpoint pen, mic stand, the car you drive can be a weapon, as we've seen. Bag of fertilizer will make a nice little bomb. Timothy McVeigh in Oklahoma City. Anything can be a weapon. Guns are just a
So we
easier
need a
way.
means of self-protection, whether we choose it to be a gun or security system or a dog or whatever. Everyone has the right to protect himself and his family.
Well, look at Chicago. Craziest gun laws in the country. Highest crime rate in the country.
Mhm. I read that the other day.
So,
Cody?
Yeah, so, that's a really solid argument. It's easy to understand, but I think the people that are pushing this gun control agenda, I don't think they're stupid. I think they know exactly what they're doing. It's about control.
yeah.
And this is the first step to that.
So,
And you make a
trying to
valid
take 'em
point,
off the
and that
shelf.
could be a whole show in itself, couldn't
yeah,
it?
it could.
Okay. Again, people, just take this as food for thought because making our country a better place, making our community a better place, making our home a better place starts with each single individual. And once we start getting our heads together, we can accomplish similar things to what was accomplished in the 60s because they said we've had enough and we want to make a better place. And you have to stick together, band together peacefully, organized, and respectfully if you want it to work, because once you raise your voice, once you get crazy, nobody listens. So that's what we're here today for. Now, moving along to your subject. Do you believe that there is more bullying today than in the past? And if so, why? And what can be done to help the person who's being bullied as well as the bully?
Bullying has become, there's always been bullying. From day one that man could talk, has been bullying. Today it's more prevalent because the acceptance of more people and their cultures and lifestyles are catching more conflict. thing is where guys who 20 years ago, they waited till after high school to come out as gay or a cross-dresser, or they were into something different than everybody else was. Well, now they're coming out earlier. They're getting more made fun of. A guy who sits in the corner of class and just kind of does nothing and draws, they look at him as an outcast social person. Well, the thing is, he just may be quiet, timid, shy, or whatever. They're making fun of these guys for the way they're dressing, for the way they're handling things, for the way they look. And the thing is
Or their economical status.
Economical,
they're
yeah.
poor people or whatever.
the thing is they're taking advantage of that. So they're going after these guys, and these guys who are getting bullied, the only way they know how to stop it is to kill the bully.
Well, you know what? This happens everywhere, and it always has, as you said. One of my great-grandchildren comes home on a semi-regular basis and says, so-and-so bullied me today. What did they do? Oh, they told me I was ugly. Oh, they told me I was stupid. Oh, they pushed me in the line. And I said, well, have you told your teacher? Well, they don't listen. And I'm sure they do listen, but their hands are tied, too,
Yeah.
by the laws that we have. So that's definitely a subject that needs to be addressed in this country, because it is not true in all cases, but there are situations such as the Florida shooting incident that possibly could have been prevented if everyone had been more aware before this person reached that point in his mind. You know, and keep our eyes open. Be aware of that person who's a little quiet, or that person who's a little troubled, or the person who has been in trouble so many times. What can we do productively to turn him in a different direction? I will briefly say, very briefly, and I don't think we have anything to flash on the screen, but if you will Google, if you're concerned about your government and what can be done, and you want to voice your opinions. I have a friend that knew this show was going to happen, and she wrote letters to her congressmen, her senators, her governor. She has received letters back answering her questions, and she covered many topics. So these are things you can take to your city leaders and your state leaders. You can do it on the internet. You can do it, I think Cody mentioned to me, Twitter, Instagram,
Yeah.
wherever.
All kinds of places.
Yeah, make your voice known, and this is how we better our country. Cody, what do you think about bullying?
So I've been reading a little bit about a concept called nihilism, and that is basically just the abandonment of religious principles and to take on the belief that life is meaningless. And I used to be that kid, you know, who just kind of sat in the back and was quiet, and you sort of got looked at strange by everybody because, you know, it's just the tribe. They think
Right.
you ought to act a certain way.
You
But-
weren't in the clique.
Right. But what got me through that was, you know, the belief in something higher, God. I could find comfort in that. So it didn't seep its way into me and develop into extreme bitterness. I think that's what happens a lot today. People are abandoning the belief in something higher, and they've got nothing to cling to. So when the bullying just pushes them over the edge, and everybody's different. Some people, they really go off the deep end
Yeah.
if they've got nothing.
Well, you know, a lot of times going off the deep end, and I'm going to play a little video clip that I have here. After the Florida shooting, I want to say it was the day after, they, of course, the students got together and had a rally. And there was a young lady that was speaking, and she was pretty fervent as far as what she was saying. But there was one small clip that caught me, and I want to play it for you.
So many signs that the Florida shooter was mentally disturbed, even expelled for bad and erratic behavior. Neighbors and classmates knew he was a big problem, must always report such instances to authorities again and again. We did, time and time again. Since he was in middle school, it was no surprise to anyone who knew him to hear that he was the shooter. Those talking about how we should have not ostracized him, you didn't know this kid!
Now, you know, that alone, you know, I can understand on her anger and so forth, but the fact that you had a kid that, I mean, according to her, had been ostracized since he was middle school. And by no means am I defending the shooter. Please don't take that.
No,
but what
we
I'm
understand.
saying, how many times did this same girl or her friends that were ostracizing this young man go up and say, hey, can I help you? Is something the matter? And try to reach out to him. But they didn't. Since middle school, this kid had the cops called on him like every other day.
And why didn't that girl, if she knew he was so bad, why didn't she speak up
Exactly.
and say anything? Say, hey, this kid's going to kill somebody. Y'all need to pay attention.
Well, the fact is she did.
did she?
But
Okay.
they went to the authorities and continuously reported this young man.
Oh, okay.
And not once did they reach out personally to this
kid.
guy and say, hey, something the matter, can I help you?
Well, see, here's another thing. And if the authorities knew it and they knew he was troubled, he had a mental issue, whether it was a true illness or just an emotional situation, why didn't they find some way to get him into a rehabilitation kind of program or an improved, self-improvement? There was somebody who had the authority and the power to say, let's fix it. Let's don't just keep going
but
over there.
it's kind of a minefield because in reality there's nothing they could do. I mean, he hadn't broken the law, so there was nothing they could do.
Yeah.
I mean, they had their hands tied.
Well, see, maybe that's something that we can touch on in our communities and in our country to change the rules and regulations in such a way that when you see someone who needs help, you are authorized to offer them that help. And if it gets to be a repeated situation and you know that it's escalating, they've been called him dozens of times. Somebody somewhere at some point has to say, okay, we got to do something, even if it's against his will. We've got to help this guy or get him out of the line of fire, get the other people out of his line of fire.
Well, people have to reach out. People have to learn how to communicate once again instead of pointing fingers and as Cody said, getting behind keyboards.
Yeah.
And talking, and this is the last thing I myself am going to have to say. I actually had just ran an errand and passed a billboard, and it reminded me, a long time ago, guys, Abraham Lincoln said, a house divided cannot stand.
True.
And if we as a country, nation, whatever we're going to do it, are constantly saying, okay, this is what we're going to do, you're wrong, or vice versa, it's not going to work.
No.
Right. Do you know, when I was in school, it was different then, obviously. It
Yeah.
was a long time ago. But I know in junior high and high school, we had teachers. If you walked into the room, they knew immediately if you were having a bad day, if you were sick, if you were extremely happy. They knew their students. They made it a point because they cared. And I'm not saying teachers today don't care and they're overwhelmed, but the point I'm trying to make, I'm skating around it, is you've got to be aware of those students. You've got to, and we need more teachers maybe to make the classroom smaller so that when Cody walks in, and he doesn't look like he normally does, his bubbly self, and they say, Cody, what's happening? Come on, let's go over here and talk, bud. I see a problem.
Yeah.
And he's not going to want to talk. But that teacher, if her heart is in there, says, I know there's a problem. You and I can work this out. Give him some encouragement. There's a whole lot of little things. And again, food for thought, people, just
Yep.
food for thought.
I can tell you from personal experience the powerful effect that just simple friendliness can have on somebody. I got a friend who really struggled during his teenage years. I mean, was really going through a rough time. But I don't mean this in a braggadocious way, but I like to think that my non-judgmental approach to him really helped him through that time, because whenever he would talk to me, I wouldn't dwell on the negativity. I would just interact with him in a friendly way, and I never judged anything about him. And that positive interaction really helped to pull him through. So, yes, what they're saying is
We all have that
definitely
power.
right. And we can help each other. It's
Well, I
really
mean,
easy.
it's prime example. Like me, it's funny because my wife, for the first year or so we were together, never really understood. She always just thought I was flirting or whatever else. But anytime we went to, let's just say, we would go to Taco Bell, and the people were like, can I take your order? And I'd start making jokes with them and have fun. And I get to the window, and I'm like, how you doing today, sweetie? You all right? And next thing you know, they're smiling and they're happy.
Exactly.
The thing is, giving somebody a smile can immediately lighten up their heart and realize that things are not so bad all the time.
Yeah.
I've had Cody and my daughter and my granddaughter, and they make fun of me all the time because I talk to everybody.
I do, too.
Imagine that. But I'll see a lady in a store and go, oh, I love that blouse. Where did you find that? Now, I don't say it just because. I mean, if I do like the blouse, though, I will tell her.
You like
Or,
the blouse.
man, your hair is great. Who does your hair? And they go, thank you. Little things, just little things.
Encouragement always helps
Yeah.
everybody.
They
so.
just they're under the illusion that no one cares about them, and that's why they sink so low. A lot
There
of
you go.
times.
Okay, we're coming up with good ideas. Here's another one to ponder on. How much emphasis should a parent or teacher place on encouraging our youth to think for themselves and know what they want to be rather than following the crowd?
Unfortunately, there's too many followers and not enough leaders. My mom was an amazing person. She was a producer for ABC Television in Las Vegas. She came up with the ideas nobody else would do. And the thing is, she was very, very well respected. Actually, and this is back in the 70s, 1977, she was on the Las Vegas most influential list. She was number 6 on the list. Joan Rivers was number 5.
Wow.
Yeah, and of course, Joan Rivers made a few comments about my mom, but that's okay. You know, it's all in good fun because that's the way things were running. But you know, the thing is be a leader, not a follower. Do your own thing, but make sure your own thing is not going to hurt or hinder somebody else's
Right.
ability to become a good person. Because if you're just mean about things,
That's not a leader.
there's a lot of narcissists out there, and what people don't realize, what a narcissist is it's somebody who constantly talks about, oh, this person or this person, makes themselves look better, and everything revolves around them. I've been called one, but it's like going, no, I don't think you actually know the term. So that's just my 2 cents.
Cody?
Yeah, people. Well, I mean, it's always going to be a tendency in humanity to just go along with the tribe, but they definitely should be taught to think or to make an assessment of whatever this group activity that you're thinking about getting involved in. You know, just think about it first. Don't just go along with it because you think that's going to make them think you're cool.
Right.
Just put a little thought behind it. But there's nothing intrinsically wrong with
And you should
doing
never
what
be
others
afraid
do.
to say what you think and be who you are if you do it respectfully, correct?
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things is too many people these days judge a book by the cover.
Exactly.
And the problem is like a lot of people look at me, and and one of my things I tell everybody is the people that don't like me don't know me. They don't know who I
can
am,
attest to
where I
that
came.
firsthand.
Yep, same here.
You know, the thing is, I've got long hair. I play in a band. I've got tattoos. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't touch drugs. I'm a Christian. I go to church occasionally. I'm a patriot. I believe in our country. And you know what? I believe our president right now is doing a good job. If he had some support of other groups, I think he could be doing a better job. The thing is, he's not a socialist president. He's very much of a president who wants to get the economy and money back in people's pockets. Now, on the other flip side, when he starts tweeting, I get a little nervous because he kind of gets some stupid stuff when he tweets, and that is true. I'm gonna say that, but don't judge a book by its cover. You never know who's out there.
You're right.
So.
You with that? Okay.
And you know that I personally said that, you know, if you look at President Trump, like him or hate him, you can't argue with the results he's gotten in his first
No.
year
Yeah.
in office. But personally, I wish somebody would go and take that dang Twitter account
Exactly.
out of his hands.
It's like, no, you can like slap it right out of his hands. Like, no, you cannot tweet no more.
He's the president now. He's not a teeny bopper. I'm sorry.
Well,
He
Right.
still acts like a teeny bopper.
You know,
Trump is like
I have to admit, because it's come out in the past couple of days, that he's one of the first presidents actually getting North Korea to the table
Exactly.
to talk.
And see, I thought that was great because when I was in the gym the other day, I was sitting there and I'm looking at Fox News and like, hey, Kim Jong Il's actually he asked the president, he wants to be denuclearized. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I turned it on, CNN, and they're going, well, we're just not sure how this is going to play out and do this. I'm like going, God, why are you being such a pessimist about something so positive? I mean, The thing is people are realizing the fact that that Trump has actually come out and said, "Hey, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this," and he's done those things. Don't be mad at the guy for actually going through with his
But
promises.
you know what's really weird though, and then I'm going to shut up so these guys can finish the show. But
No, I like you jumping in.
no, I mean,
We have a real open.
Trump,
I'm sorry. I won't say that.
Trump and I can't pronounce the gentleman's name, but the Prime Minister of North Korea are kind of, if you look at it, are very eerily about the same.
Yes, they are.
They have enormous egos,
Horrible.
and
Different
Sometimes
hearts.
it takes that.
you
Well,
know,
different hearts.
I understand because I've got kind of the same ego.
well, yeah,
So-
yeah, true, but you know,
Maybe it's confidence rather than ego. You reckon?
Trump is like
A little
this
bit of
huge
both.
battering ram, for the big doors that have been put up, and he just punches through. He's very effective at blazing the trail. After the trail is blazed, we can get someone a little bit more low key.
well, to give
But
you
he's-
an example,
he's
I know
good for now.
I know a while back, whenever he was putting the sanctions on North Korea that we had just gone in, and I was like, okay, great. And, they were actually backing down, and he was doing a great job. And then he went into the White House and starts going, okay, how do you like that, Rocket Man? And I'm like, oh, my
Oh,
God.
no, what you-
Man, please take that away from him. But, that's just a personal thing, guys.
No,
I'm
and
going to go ahead and let go.
lot of
Yeah,
great-
I understand that perfectly.
A lot of great memes came out of that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay, we've already touched on this, so we probably don't need to go too big into it. We were going to make a comment on respecting the rights of others, and I think we've kind of covered that. In all that we do and say, we need to always be aware of people around us and say it nicely. You can say hello 6 or 8 different ways, and you come up with a different meaning every time. You can say, I hate that, and come out with a different meaning depending on your tone of voice. So we have to be very careful that we respect other people. Is
Yeah.
there anything either one of you wanted to add to that?
No, I'm good. I want to
Okay.
jump into the media role.
Okay, we're getting there. Okay, would helping the nation's economy perhaps help put a parent back in the home to help raise our children in a more positive direction?
Definitely. And I think that's what Trump's been trying to do is actually, it's like with these tax cuts, biggest tax cuts in history. He came out and he actually put money back into people's pockets and not taxing so much. Made it to where small businesses and big businesses could actually not get killed. Because, as a small business owner, I've been doing this forever, we were paying almost 39% in taxes. This year, because of that, it went down to 20.
Wow.
I didn't have to put out nearly as much money. So the tax cuts have helped out a whole lot. The businesses that he's got in and started going, hey, listen, do not go over there. If you go over across the seas and set up shop, you're going to get import taxed. These companies are like, no, we'll stay right here because now they can actually afford to. And instead of closing down, they're staying, keeping American jobs here, and I think that's just a better thing for the economy.
Well, when I grew up, first of all, it was a rare occasion when you heard someone say, I had an ex. I have an ex. Everybody stayed together, and that's a whole nother show, too. But the economy was such that generally dads worked, moms stayed at home, kids were raised, they were constantly monitored by one or the other parent. They were present, they were there, they cared, they contributed. Nowadays, the economy is terrible. If you have a home with 2 parents in it, which is unusual this day and time, but both of them have to work.
Yeah.
To make ends meet, they both have to work, and that leaves latchkey kids, and that leaves internet kids, and that leaves overrun the school system and the teachers to raise the kids. They can't raise everybody. So we need more attention to our children because they're going to become the adults of tomorrow, and they're going to raise the next generation.
They're the
so
next
we've got to
leaders.
make sure that they have what they need. So if we can help with the economy in some way and make it so that parents don't have to be gone, or you can have both parents present or one parent present, that's got to have a positive effect. I knew when I came home from school, Mama was there.
Yeah.
And she made us do our chores, and she taught us what was necessary, and I learned how to cook, and I didn't like it, you know. We had chores around the house. When Daddy came home, if there was something amiss, then he took over. He was the heavy. Tried to raise our kids the same way. And then suddenly the economy changed, and I had to go to work. My daughter and her husband, Jamie's working 3 jobs. 3 jobs. She's a paramedic. She's a emergency medical services instructor. And she also, she does the ambulance thing. She's also, she works at the hospital with the ambulance, and she's an instructor. You see very little of her. One of the kids there the other day said, if I had anything I wanted, it would be for Big Mama to be home more often so I could spend more time with her.
Yeah.
And there you go.
And I mean, the thing is, that's where so many of the kids these days are getting raised by the internet.
And what's out there?
And what's out there is crazy. And then, you know, like with us, I mean, a typical day, I get up in the morning, 6:15, get my son up, get him ready for school. Not that I really have to get him ready. He just, I have to make sure he gets up, does his chores. He's got chores in the morning. Gets up, goes to school. I go to the gym. I come home, eat breakfast, go to work all day. I come home, I cook dinner.
Wow.
I do 99% of the cooking at the house. I actually went to the Cordon Bleu in New Orleans to learn how to become
The
a
man
chef.
has to eat, so.
That's exactly right.
You learned to
and I
cook at Cordon Bleu
and
in
I
New
like-
Orleans?
And I like food. So.
Wow.
That's like me being single. I had to learn to do laundry really quickly.
Yes. Then
Now, what does Cheryl do? She works outside the home. Is it Cheryl?
Cheryl, my wife, she works in the salon next door, right next to me.
Oh, okay.
So we
okay.
work in the salon together all day long.
Awesome.
We get home, we eat dinner as a family every night,
That's
or
a big
most
thing.
every night. And the thing is we talk about, hey, what happened at school? You know, I got a call from the principal or this or whatever. We talk about it, and we've got a very open conversation. I don't want my son to ever feel like he can't talk to me about something. Now people may look at me and look down on me. My kids have been raised around music all their life. From the age of 2, when, you know, I was taking them to concerts, they were in bars with me. I was setting up PA stuff. My kids have been raised around the bar scene and
That
music.
doesn't mean you advocated their drinking, though.
No, I don't drink, and they never saw me drink. So that never really became an issue
It was
for
just
them.
where you worked.
But the thing is I kept my kids with me when I went to work and when I did jobs. And when we go home and we watch TV at night, I'm like, hey, come on in here. A lot of times he wants to go to sleep because, well, he's high school kids. That's what they do. They sleep. It's like, come in, watch a movie, and we're good. We spend as much family time together as possible, but at the same time, I give him his freedom because he needs to be who he's going to be. So.
But you know what? You've given him the tools that he needs so that you can give him that freedom and not worry about him.
And you know what? I'm going to tell you, this past week, and this is something I'm very proud of. I've had 2 different people message me and then call me and say, Rob, I wanted to tell you, you have done a hell of a job raising your son. He's respectful. He says, yes, sir. He says, no, sir. He's intelligent. And he does the job that's required of him. You've done a great job. Now, the thing is, you look at my son, his hair is about here. He's got his ears stretched out. He's got tattoos already. For his 16th birthday, we bought him a 1979 Pontiac Trans Am. He looks like I did when I was in high school. He's just an old metalhead. But he's respectful. And that's what I've taught him. And I've taught him,
Again,
you know,
don't
that's-
judge the book by the cover.
Yeah, because this is a good kid, and he's done a hell of a job, so I'm very proud of him.
Cody?
Well, I have basically zero experience in that area, but I've paid attention to a lot of the things that happen these days, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. Single mothers are cancer. You wonder why there's so many criminals running around? It's because they never had a father. They didn't have a male role model. And, of course, the mom, well, she's just stretching her resources thin, trying to make everything work, and she just doesn't have enough time to devote to them and teach them the right things.
Well, you know, and I'll say this too. Men, if you are listening and you are a man, step up.
Yes.
You know what? You can be a male role model to someone
Thank you.
that is not your son.
Absolutely.
And you can make a really big difference in someone's life. And, you know, and I guess as a whole, you can make a big difference. But men have to learn to step up. It's time to be a man. It's time to step up.
Yeah, it is.
It's not. And I'm trying to phrase this right. Don't let mom just push everything on her and take care of it. There's certain things that a man has to take care of and certain issues that a man has to be he shows, a man has to show his son how to be a man.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just
you
like a
do-
mom
you
has
know.
to show her daughter.
That's true. Well, a mom has a certain responsibility to her son. I mean,
You
but
know what?
he has to have that balance.
If well, we're going to have a lot of the gay community who are going to be up in arms about this, but we're not talking about the gay community right now, so that please don't take this wrong. But speaking of your typical mother, father, child thing, a child needs the influence of the mother. They need the influence of the father, because if they don't have role models, how are they going to know how to pick a mate and how to treat a mate? How are they going to know how they're supposed to be treated by their mate? How are either of them going to know what a child needs and what they need to give to that child? You have to have strong role models if you are going to be successful in taking on that responsibility when it's your turn. And with that being said, you've got to have parents or mentors or Uncle Joe or somebody in your life or Aunt Mary to give you that and
Yeah.
make you that full, well-rounded person when it comes your time to step up to the plate.
Well, it's not just a dad. I mean,
It could be
very recently, we just lost one of the best role models of a male that I know of, and that's Billy Graham.
Yeah.
Billy Graham sat there, and if you read his biography, it's called Just As I Am, and it's a fascinating read if you get hold of it. But a long time ago, I remember back in the 80s where you had a lot of evangelists getting caught with, young ladies or whatever it may have been,
Mixed
that
signals
he
going
made
out.
a decision. He said, I will never be alone in any room with another woman unless my wife is there. And
Wow.
he had to step up, and he said, okay, this is wrong. I'm not going to do it. And, I mean, you had millions of people that just saw that and just really adopted that as their own creed.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And you have to make sure if you say something, live by it. And I wanted to actually. Trump was the only living president to go to his funeral service.
Really?
I know, yeah, it was.
Was
It was amazing. You had a couple of presidents visit the body when it was lying,
Yeah,
in,
in
I
state.
can't remember if it was the Capitol that it was lying in or if it was at the Billy Graham Library.
But-
And I think you had a couple of presidents that went by, paid respects. But as far as the funeral, he's exactly right. The only one that attended was Donald Trump.
That's respect. You
Yeah.
know, my mother told me one time, I will never forget it, because we were arguing over something, which I was always yeah to my mother. But she said, there would be not a thing in the world wrong if, and the Mackeys live next door to us, Pauline and Brack Mackey, and their kids, and us were all friends. Be nothing wrong for me to go down to the Dairy Queen and sit and talk with Mr. Mackey and have a cup of coffee. There would be nothing wrong with that, really.
no.
But neighbors would talk, community would talk, somebody might get nervous, and it just isn't the smart thing to do. Well, you have to be very careful how we present ourselves so that we salvage and protect our character, and we just have to use our heads.
Well,
I won't ever forget that.
Well, and it's
Of course,
like-
I don't do that. But
Well, yeah. Well, like with me, besides being a hairstylist, I'm also a piercer, and I've been a piercer for 18 years. And we do some parts of the body, and like whenever we do that, my wife or some other woman is in that room when I do it. Why? Because I want nobody ever going, oh, well, he touched me inappropriately. I'm licensed professional. And the thing is I'm not going to ruin my license and my livelihood over something stupid.
Well, even a doctor will have a nurse in the room when they
Exactly.
do an exam.
And that's the same way we do.
Cody, I'm just leaving you out of this, baby. Go ahead.
Well, just to go along with that, have you heard about this whole Me Too thing going on, where a lot of famous actresses or whatever, they're coming out and
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
"Oh, so and so
so-and-so.
harassed
Yes.
me 20 years ago," and a lot of it's not even true. It's like
No.
a witch hunt. And
Well,
it's
and
convicting these
like when
guys.
Harvey Weinstein, that whole thing came out, he did this and he did this. Okay, why are you saying this now after 40-something years? So many people's like, if something happens, say it right then.
Well, my husband says the reason for that would be because maybe they were afraid back then. Times were different. They didn't feel like anybody would listen, and there were probably people who did fall into that category,
Yeah.
but I don't think those are the ones, for the major part, who
No.
are coming out.
But I
today.
find it very strange that several men that were accused, it was right when they were the apex of their earning potential, I should
Yes.
say.
Coincidence?
Back then they weren't worth a whole lot, and they weren't. But these men suddenly have become powerhouses and
Right.
very rich, and people come out of the woodwork.
Exactly.
And everybody wants their 15 minutes of
Oh,
fame.
get on that bandwagon. Absolutely. Okay, here we go. Here's your question.
Okay.
What role, if any, do you believe today's broadcast media plays in some of the problems we are facing as a nation?
All of it.
Thank
There
you.
we go. That's all I've
Cody?
got to say.
90%.
No, when you're talking, you've got Fox News talking about everything across the board. When you've got CNN reporters and ESPN and all these other reporters from all the ABC, NBC, all these other reporters coming in, and it's more like I'm going to say it, and it's more like a high school newspaper. Well, such and such said, and I'm like going, are you reporting facts or just trying to start some drama?
That's where this fake news thing is
And
coming
it
from.
kills me because it's like, I don't care. I want to know what's going on. I don't care who you're for. I just want to know what happened. And stop playing the drama card. I mean, get rid of the drama. Get rid of it, And what kind of just infuriates me is the fact that a lot of the CNN will sit there and put the president down. They'll say, "Oh, Mr. Trump's like, no, that's POTUS. That's President of the United States. Y'all show him respect. He earned that spot." Just give the respect.
Do you know what else that does? And I've said this on a couple of other shows. Now that we have the media, the whole world is privy to everything that goes on in this country, and every opinion and every statement. So here we are, and I think it's okay to voice your opinion, certainly, but we need to be very careful, in my opinion, that we don't send a signal out to other countries who are not allies that says they're divided and they're weak. It's time to pounce.
Well, one of the things that I've seen that drives me nuts is when they ask Trump about, hey, what are your plans for this? And like, we'll let you know when it comes time. Oh, well, Trump won't say this and he won't say this. What is he hiding? He's not hiding anything. He's not letting the other countries know what
That's
we're
right.
about to do.
Do you know when James went to Saudi Arabia, and I've said this before too, we had one of those huge old, what do you call those things? The C, oh shoot, those big antenna satellite things, C-band.
Yes.
Yeah, great big dish. A lot of people are using them for hay feeders now, including us. But anyway, and I could watch the wild feeds 24/7 and things that weren't yet being broadcast to the people, but they were the things that were being done.
Yeah.
And of course, all the other countries are watching this too.
Yeah,
It's there.
they're seeing what we're doing.
And my mother called me one night at about 11, and she said, "Turn on the TV. I just saw James." And I said, "Excuse me?" And I turned it on. Now, he had been activated. They had 24 hours, and he was activated, and they were going over there. They had a very secretive mission, could not be known who they were, where they were going, or anything. And there was the news. 111th Ordnance out of Alabama just landed. They are headed to destination undetermined. We're here in so-and-so right now. And everybody goes, okay, there they are. Pinpoint them there, follow them. Blow them up. That easy.
Well,
So you don't tell everything
no.
you know. That's stupid.
Well, it's like Obama. He's like, all right, on this date, we're going to pull out the troops, but we're going to leave 10,000 here in this spot. It's like,
How smart.
really? Are you actually telling everybody what we're going to do so they can get prepared for that? Seriously?
Meanwhile, the enemy's like, oh, yeah.
Oh, let me take notes on this.
Oh, yeah. keep
Hey,
going.
Obama's pulling them out. Hey, we got to go in there and do this right thing, that little thing right now. Thanks.
Right.
It's
So if
stupidity.
we present ourselves as a nation divided, and we send that message, like many years ago on ICQ, the little girl in China, I said, during the Clinton fiasco, and I said, what does China think of the U.S.? And she said, I don't want to tell you. And I said, I want to know. What does China think of our country? I'm curious. I have no other way of knowing. And she said, you won't get upset. And I said, no. She said, I grew up being told that America was a proud and a brave and a powerful country, but now America is a joke.
Yep.
And that was the opinion. And I thought, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How do we fight that?
Well, I mean, we went from like, and me, this is just my opinion. I think Ronald Reagan was probably one of the greatest presidents we had. Simple fact is, let's look at it. Here's Carter, Iranian hostage crisis. What, 462 or 463 people that were, literally 10 minutes after Reagan got put into office, Iran said, we're just kidding, have your guys back. Why? Because they knew Reagan would blow them up.
And he didn't make any bones about
No,
it.
and the thing is a lot of countries
Trump has
now
that
are
same
looking
rashness.
at Trump that same way. Yeah.
You know that quote from General Mattis, Mad Dog? I forget the exact wording, but he's like, "Oh, I'm begging you with tears in my eyes, don't do this because I will annihilate you."
Yeah.
And that's not an exact quote, but basically that's what he said.
So,
Pretty cool guy. He's the Secretary of Defense now,
Well,
I believe.
Well, with all of that being said, that brings us right about to the next question. Concerning our nation's flag, is it just a piece of cloth, Cody?
It's a tricky question because, I mean, of course it is a piece of cloth, but it's more than that because what it represents. For over 200 years now, people have died to protect what it represents. So, yeah, I think people should definitely treat it with respect.
Not because of the fact that it's a piece of cloth and it's red, white, and blue, but because of what it stands for.
Yeah.
It's a symbol.
And without what it stands for, they wouldn't have the right to disrespect it anyway.
Right.
And
Well,
they don't think about that.
It's our symbol of freedom. It's our symbol that our forefathers came over here, got away from the tyranny of the British, and said, "We need our own rules. We're tired of living under what you're talking about." It was a huge step and a huge gamble that they did, but they did it. And the thing is that flag represents an amazing country that you should have tons of respect for. Mm-hmm. And like last year, the whole thing with the NFL and these idiots, and I'm going to say it, idiots, not standing up and showing respect. They're going, well, we're doing it as a protest because we hate what the cops did to this. It doesn't matter what that cop did or what this person did or it doesn't matter. You're in America. Have respect for the flag. Stand up. And if you don't like it, simply leave. Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
And somewhere else, they wouldn't even be able to criticize the cops.
There you go.
They just kill them.
Yeah.
Or
So
silence them or whatnot.
Okay, you brought us into I've got a couple of things after this, but the last question on these topics. And you said the country was founded because of the immigration into this country for different reasons. So do you think at this point in time in our nation, with the situation the way it is, that our immigration laws should be stricter and more definitive?
I think so. The thing is everybody keeps going, oh, we're not going to build this wall. We've had border security and we've had a wall on Mexico forever now. Mm-hmm. I forget what exactly, but most of the border has a wall to it anyways. Not a very good wall, but the thing is you have illegals getting through here.
And it's not just Mexico, though.
No, it's everywhere. And the thing is, I have no problem with anybody coming to the country, doing their citizenship, doing it right, making it better. You know what? I have respect for those people because I'm going to tell you what, the people who came over here and did their part and actually did the proper steps, they know American history better than we do.
Right.
As citizens, we take it for granted, and these people learned it and know it. And they came over here because they wanted a better life for themselves. They know what they can do over here. The freedom. I mean,
But don't you think they should be required to within a period of time, if they're going to stay, they need to be citizens or they need to go on back.
Go through the process.
And they need to pay taxes, and they need to work, and they need to do all the things that we do.
Plain and simple, we're in America. I get tired of picking up the phone and it going, press 1 for English. Really, why? If you're in this country, Jesus, you should speak English.
If we go to France, they're not going to make exceptions for us.
No. So
Cody, what are your thoughts on all that?
Well, just to target the people who say, "Oh, well, we should take them in because it's the right thing to do." Oh, we have empathy, so just let them in. But the thing about that is, the host body needs to be healthy before it can take on additional responsibilities. So, yeah, it should definitely be stricter because we got to get ourselves on track before we can start taking on more.
And the one thing that I wanted to point out that is very important to me, if we go visit another country, before we go, we learn a little bit of their language, we observe their laws and everything they've got. But when these people come over here, especially Muslims, and I'm not against Muslims, I've got some very good friends who are, but the reason, you got to realize, most of the reason they've come over here is because they're trying to get away from something like Sharia law. Mm-hmm. And what kills me is, I got in a conversation one day, and the guy who was in my chair, he was gay. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. My brother's gay. I've got a gay guy that works for me. We're all good friends. Well, then he got in my chair, and he's like, well, Muslims should be able to come to this country and do whatever they want. I'm like, they can do it, but they have to use our laws. Well, their religious freedom and their religious laws are from Sharia law should be allowed over here. I said, okay,
Why?
do you realize as a gay man, if that Muslim comes over here and says, oh, you're an abomination, I've got the right to kill you by his law. He goes, oh, well, that's not. And I'm like, no, that's what you're saying. And he had no idea that Sharia law states, as a woman, if you speak out of line, I have the right to stone you.
Oh, well, not only that, if a woman is raped or
She must be killed to prove her, give
and
her.
to get the family honor back.
Yep.
That's right. Because she's
So-
bad. She's tainted then.
If you come to this country, I'm fine. Pay your taxes, speak English, and obey our laws. That's my rules.
Exactly. Cody?
Sounds pretty simple to me.
It's
Not
very
rocket
simple.
science, is it?
Not difficult.
Well, my growing up, I had my one of my grandfathers say, "Okay, everything should be a kiss." I'm like, "Huh?" He goes, "Keep it simple, stupid."
I agree with that.
And I've lived by that all my life.
Before I ask you a little bit about another part of your world, I just want to say I'm going to quote something you said yesterday on your live feed. Rob does his live feeds a little bit differently than he's doing the show, but in the middle of all that, I saw something in Rob that I really admired. I really think that you are a deep thinker. The same thing that made me bring Cody here. He's a deep thinker. They think outside the box. They're decent human beings.
There's a box. What box? I
There
didn't see
you
a
go.
box.
That's the point.
Never knew about it.
They're decent human beings. They want to only do good and no harm. And they're human beings as well. And with that, from time to time, we all are flawed. But you said something yesterday. You said, be less political and more human. Be a better person. Being a good person comes from the heart, and our hearts are all the same. And
Yep.
that had a great impact on me.
And that's the truth. I mean, we're all humans. We all should have respect for each other and try to be tolerant of each other. But the thing is you just can't be tolerant on one side.
That's
It has
right.
to come from all sides. So.
Okay. Before I get to your music thing, is there anything you want to add on this particular subject? I'm sorry, I keep forgetting my microphone.
Well, for that last quote, yeah, step away from the programming and just experience the world for yourself.
Yeah.
And then,
While doing no harm.
well, yeah, of course.
Do no harm.
And then interact with each other harmoniously. Don't do what the higher powers are just trying to program you to do.
And we have just
Think
proven,
independently.
we've been sitting here at this table for about an hour now.
Yeah.
3 generations, male, female, rocker, collegiate.
Look at that. Male,
look at-
female, and rocker. I'm not even a gender now. Jeez.
No,
I'm a rocker,
I'm
too.
just kidding.
No, I'm just saying we've got these differences, but yet here we all are.
Yeah.
We're together, and I think that says something, and that's what I wanted this show to send out today. Is it doesn't matter. We're all still part of the same human race.
Yes.
We all are part of the same human race, and we all want basically the same things: a good life, a life where we smile and where we're happy, and we know that we've made somebody else happy, and it just snowballs. And it's always got to begin with one person, and then it's like a cell; it divides and it multiplies and it multiplies. So one person, every one person who's watching this can talk to one other person and say, I want you to see something. And then they're going to have Aunt Mary who lives up in Wisconsin or Uncle Joe out in Arizona. And it can snowball. It just takes one person, just one. Okay, now, quickly. You're a musician. You have 2 bands.
2 bands.
Damn Skippy
And Sleazy Mona.
Sleazy Mona. I won't even ask you how they got those names, but I want to ask you a little bit about the music scene because I know Tim is interested in that. Cody's an aspiring musician, and I play a little old fogey music every now and then. Now, don't you agree that we have less venues now than we did 10 or 20 years
We've
ago?
got less venues. Well, the problem is you've got, and this is what drives me nuts. You've got people who will walk into a club, pay $10 to do karaoke or listen to a DJ, but then you're going to bitch to pay $5 or $10 to see a live band. I mean, that's how we make our money. I mean, the thing is,
You
like-
can listen to the radio for free.
for free. Yeah. My thing is you know, I've been playing since I was, you know, in bands since I was 13. I've done this all my life. Now, back in the 80s, we were making about $1,500 a night playing. They actually paid us well. We got treated well. Now, the problem is there's so many, and I have to say they're called scab bands. They're guys who don't care about their equipment, don't care about practicing. They get out there, they'll play a gig for $250, $300.
And they're killing us.
And they're killing us because, well, we can get a band to do it for $250, $300. Go. We're not doing it for less than $700 and $800 a night. And they're like, well, why should we pay you more? Because we're going to put butts in the seats. We're going to take it out. Now, me, myself, and this is me speaking on my bands, I do more advertising than anybody that I know. I do social media, I do posters, I do postcards, I do old school stuff. I call people on the phone. I do everything to get people out there. We pay a lot of money for our equipment. We have good equipment. You know, the thing is
So the sound is excellent.
the sound is better. You know, we practice, we hone our skills. Now, for us, it's just not about playing. And I don't look down on any other band for not doing what we do. This is our thing, not everybody else's. I go out and I see bands. One of the best bands around is a band called The Great Affairs. They're out of Nashville. They have no stage, nothing. They just get up there and they play, and these guys are amazing musicians. Another guy, Larry Mitchell. He's actually a Grammy Award-winning guy out of Opelika. He's one of the best guitar players. He does Steve Vai's guitar camp. Amazing. He doesn't need anything. The guys I have in my band are amazing musicians. We've all been doing it for a long time, but we've brought it up to and said, here, just not coming out to listen to music. Anybody can play and be good. But everybody's always asked me, it's like, well, why do so many people come to see you? Because of our stage show.
You put on a show. I've
We
watched
put
the
on a
videos, yeah.
huge show, and tonight the show is actually going to be bigger and better than it ever has been. We're getting stuff right now that nobody's got. I've got something right now in my car.
I saw it.
Yes, it's in my car right now that just got brought into the U.S. And
Don't tell what it is
I'm
because
not-
you guys got. I'll tell you where to go in just a little while. Well,
Well, yeah, we'll tell.
Okay.
But I'm bringing stuff to the stage show that nobody else is doing. We're jumping around. We're running around. My biggest thing is I hate watching a band play and them never saying anything to the crowd, not interacting. It's boring for me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see some good. So that's what we bring to the show. We bring a level
you
of
entertain. You don't just play music. You entertain. It's more than music.
I mean, musically, we're as good or better than any band out there, and I would put us up against anybody.
I would too.
And we would be right in the groove with everything out there. Where we come out, there's a lot of great bass players out there, and they go, "Why do people like you?" I'm like, "Because I sit there, run around, throw my bass up in the air, jump around, and sing, do everything else while I play."
I
You
was
can't.
watching a video of you last night when I was preparing this, and you had on your hairband, your hair
Oh,
was
yeah.
down, you had on your striped pants, and you had on the
my,
look on your face.
my American flag patriotic
Yes,
pants.
And he was. Rob's a big guy. You can see that. Rob's a big
I
guy.
am no
he was
small guy.
moving around like my 9-year-old gymnast great granddaughter. Bam, bam, bam. I was amazed.
Thank
How do
you.
you do that?
Pure adrenaline, pretty much, yeah. Because
That's
at the end,
awesome.
because at the end of the night, it's pretty much pure ibuprofen and a couch. So
Well, I'm gonna tell everybody where to go see you tonight, and I hope we can get this out before time for you to play. Now, you said that you do advertising, but don't you think that it's also the responsibility of the venue to do some advertising
yeah.
too?
Now, also, and I want to point that out. You got to realize with the venues, these venues have people Friday and Saturday every week. Venues have a 1 week span to advertise for you, because it's not fair to the other bands if they're advertising 3 and 4 weeks advance
Right.
for you. You get from Sunday to when you play that Friday or Saturday. They put you up on their marquee. They help promote you. But the thing is if you're out there and you're not putting up posters in the venues where you're playing, nobody knows.
That's right.
So you've got to make sure you help the bar owner and the venues promote yourself. So
Now, you and I talked the other day about contracts. I think, there are some clubs where I wouldn't even worry about giving them a contract or not, but at a private party or a club where I've never played before, or for a number of reasons, I like to use a contract. What do you feel about a contract?
on some of the places we play, we never use a contract because I know these people.
Right.
I've known them for years. They know what we're going to do for their club. They know when we show up, we're going to bring in and like us, we just don't bring in our amps and guitars and stuff. We bring in our own staging, our own light show. The thing is, that's why we get a little bit more money than most bands.
Sure.
But the thing is we make sure that we know we can put butts in the seats. We make sure that we're going to promote that venue and that club and keep it going. But as far as contracts, yeah, you got to have them. We had an issue where a club opened up, and they told me that they went from this time to this time. I said, well, we'll play from that time to that time. We got there, we set up. She goes, hey, I want to push y'all back about 9:30. I said, that's fine. Well, we'll play till 12:30. We do a 3-hour show. That's what we do. We got done at 12:30. She's like, you didn't play till 1:30 like all the other bands are doing. I'm like, that's not what we agreed on. And then she came back and cut our pay. And I said, you know what? I messed up. I always do contracts with most bands that with club owners that I do for the first time. I didn't because I was trying to help you out. I sent her contracts, said to return them. Still haven't gotten them back, so I'll check with her this week whether we just cancel the next shows or we actually play. But contracts are huge. Don't be scared to give somebody a contract, because what that does, that contract helps out you
And
and the venue, because you have a clear line of, we play from here to here, we load in here, the band gets this much money, we keep all our money from our shirt sales, you provide us with water, non-alcoholic drinks, you serve food, do we get a tab? What is that tab?
or a discount or
A
anything.
discount, whatever.
It just
But
spells everything out so
spells
that
it-
no
makes it better.
guesswork and everybody is protected.
And anybody who wants a contract or does not know how to do a contract, call me, message me. I will give you a copy of ours. You can change anything you want on it, but you'll be protected. I'll help out any band that needs to be helped out any time of the day.
Great. Okay, just to recap, this is Rob Todd. It's his 49th birthday. Happy birthday, Rob.
Thank
He
you.
owns Elements Hair Salon in Opelika. It's a wonderful place. I was in there the other day. It's just really, really nice place. So if you need a haircut or a shampoo or a perm or coloring this new fancy rainbow stuff or any of those other things that they do in
Yeah,
salons,
we do it.
please go to Elements on the corner of 10th Street
And 2nd Avenue.
2nd Avenue in Opelika, right near
Yep.
Wendy's, kind of catty corner
Cross
across the
street.
street. Rob has two bands, Sleazy Mona and Damn Skippy. Tonight, they will be appearing at Buck Wild Saloon on Highway 280 in Smith Station area. It's Rob's birthday party. They're going to
And-
have a roast. They start playing at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Georgia
Yes.
time. And after about an hour of music, they're going to have a roast. And can I bake you too?
I've given an open opportunity for anybody
'Cause
in this
I
town
wanna-
who doesn't want
I
to.
want to at least do a little simmer.
Anybody. I have no problem.
Okay. Now you've heard it. Now you want to come out there and see what I have to say, because it's different than on the show. It's going to be different out there than on the show.
Oh,
we,
yeah.
we all have our little personalities that go here and there and everywhere. But they're going to play some great music. They're going to have a birthday roast. It's going to be a packed house. So I won't tell you to get there early because I got to get a seat first. And then you come after me. It's going to be a wonderful time. Buckwild is a beautiful place. It's a big place. And David McBride does a great job out
does.
there. And he's going to have Damn Skippy playing with all of the newfangled stuff he's got ready to set up tonight.
And our new singer.
And the new singer who, oh my gosh, is awesome because he looks like he's not going to be what he is, and he's
No.
awesome. And they're going to have parts of the band Sleazy Mona. They're going to
Yeah.
be performing with them tonight as well. So be sure to come out there this evening, beginning at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, and you play for how long?
We'll play till probably 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning.
That is Central or Eastern?
East Georgia time. We'll
Georgia
say
time. Okay, Cody, is there anything you wanted to throw in there?
Not really, no.
that. Excellent.
Cody's going to be back in the gym and back in school this next week. So I'm thanking both of you right now for being with
Thank
us today.
you.
It's been a wonderful show. I've been looking forward to this for several weeks. And join us next week. We'll have our guest, David Swimmer, who is a paleontologist. That is a division of geology, by the way. See, they're already calling to ask
I
what
know.
time to get there. Wow. David Schwimmer will be here next week, and he is going to discuss his role as a professor at Columbus State University and as a paleontologist, and he will have some really interesting information that you might not be aware of about dinosaurs and prehistorics in our area. He is also a local musician. He plays many instruments, and
Nice.
his life story is just amazing. So please join us next week. So we'll tell you goodbye for today and ask you to join us next week on the show, Columbus. Tim?
No, I actually was looking ahead towards next month also. Been in contact, I believe the first weekend of April we'll have, her name is R.S. Williams. She's been on the show several times. Rachel is a very talented writer, photographer from LaGrange.
Wonderful.
And after that, we're gonna delve into the Schwab School of Music. They have some very talented musicians
Oh, wow.
who will be showing up. We have a gentleman, saxophonist, but he does classical, but at the same time he is absolutely great jazz musician.
Oh, that's great.
And a couple of people from Russia that play violin and so forth. So
awesome.
please,
Well, we have some really interesting upcoming shows. Just check us out on Facebook on the show Columbus, and keep up with what we're doing because we do some great stuff. We're having a good time here over on Moon Road near the airport. Love you guys. See you next week.
Peace.
Bye now.